Today's video, I have for you all something that's going to help you out, or hopefully will help you out for at least the next 3 weeks, but possibly for the remainder of Hydra, the remainder of you playing Raid, and that is a Hydra Nightmare 1 key 100% auto. And when I say 100% auto, that means you can come in here, select battle, hit start, have the start on auto button selected, walk away, do whatever else you want to do, no setup, no clicking heads, nothing, and then come back and either have the 1 key damage done or just have to reset it and try again. Because obviously there's a lot of RNG with Hydra. If your buffs aren't up at the right time, if you have the wrong debuffs applied to the wrong heads, you've got resisted a few times, there's a lot of RNG. The wrong head spawns at the wrong time. There's chances this run could definitely fail. But check this out. 62.25 million damage, 100% full auto. Necmo is doing 8.7, Husk doing 22, Geo doing 15, Cantra doing 4, Inquisitor Shamael doing 8, and Uugo doing 3 million damage. Takes 32 minutes, so it's definitely not the fastest run, but keep in mind, you only have to get to, what, 36 million damage? So you could have stopped this run a long time ago. Or, if your clan is going to be a clan just now attempting to do Nightmare, kind of where my clan's at, and you want to push that damage, you could even turn this to semi-auto, where you begin to click the heads with Geomancer, because Geomancer is really weird, and he'll actually burn the decapitated heads, which is useless. So you'll see here, literally won't take long at all for Geo to burn one, I'm sure. I'll fast forward through it a little bit. Once the head gets decapitated, Geomancer places a burn. You have 3 very viable heads who would be amazing to place a burn on, but Geomancer decides to place it on a decapitated head, meaning whenever any of these heads attack, it won't reflect any damage to that head over there. You should be able to see that in just a second. This head should take the damage from the burn, so on and so forth. So there is still some contribution being made, but in general, that's absolutely terrible for him to attack that head. But as you can see right there, the head of Wrath, which is the one that hits the hardest, could have just now put a ton of damage out on any of these other 2 heads had Geomancer burned them instead. But instead, he did absolutely nothing to the head on the far left. So if you want to really push the damage on this team, you can definitely run it semi-auto, where it's just on auto and you're clicking the heads. You can easily get your champions freed from the digestion. You can easily target correct heads with Geomancer's burn, so on and so forth. It's going to be a lot better. But if you're like me, and you kind of just want to set it, forget it, come back, and have your run done, this is going to be a perfect setup for you. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about these champions presets. Then we'll do a little bit of a Hydra run to go over the mechanics, and then I'll show you guys the gearing, masteries, and the books on how they look on each of these champions. So for Necmo, we have number 1 on the A3. For Husk, we turned off his A3, prioritized that A2 ability. For Geomancer, this one's very, very, very important. Turn off the A2. Technically, you could leave it on, but for me, I just turn it off. It doesn't really bring anything that I need. His A3, this is the important part. Make sure you turn this on for number 1. If not, he will not, for whatever reason, use this ability every time it's off cooldown, and you want him to use it every single time it's off cooldown. His AI is a little bit weird. Honestly, if they tweak that, he'd be a lot better for Hydra on full auto, because like I said, he targets the decapitated heads and it really does nothing. Cantra, number 1 on her A2 ability, doesn't really matter. Same thing with Shamael. I don't think it really matters, but just for the safety, I always want them using these abilities whenever they're off cooldown. And then for Uugo, she's very similar to Geomancer in a lot of ways, in the sense that if you want her using this A3 ability, every time it's off cooldown, make sure you set it to a priority. Because I've noticed she's sometimes weird and won't cleanse or won't heal if there's no heal reductions up. So make sure you're mindful about that. And then our A2 ability, we have that set to number 1. So I'll go ahead and jump in here, show you guys the initial setup to this Hydra run. As far as like what happens and what to watch out for, there's really no setup. It's literally come over here to the auto button, hit auto. So basically what's going to be happening is, since we have the head of decay up right now, I want to be able to get as many debuffs up for Cantra to do her provoke from a passive ability as soon as possible. Ideally, this very first go around, we get the provoke up ASAP. Ideally before the head of decay ever takes a turn, which is so important, why you need so much speed, so much turn meter boosting, so much turn meter adjusting, decreased speed, everything on these enemies, so that you can make sure your Cantra is going ideally twice before the head of decay gets a turn. So you see right here, she should get a turn. She should apply that provoke, hopefully, but Necmo is going like an absolute Energizer bunny, going crazy speed. And you'll see now we have the provoke on the head of decay, and then really it stays provoked the rest of the fight. The head of decay really never gets a cleanse because we have so many debuffs going off. We have another champion wearing provoke gear, which is a pretty interesting change that I made, and I like it a lot. But as far as everything else goes, you can see the team, it's 100% auto. So I could literally walk away, come back, and it should be pretty good. Got that 60 million key earlier. I did one after that, got like 64 million. So let me go ahead and back out of this and show you guys how the champions are geared, what you guys need to be looking out for, and how you can build this team yourself. So there are the presets. As far as the actual champions gearing goes, obviously this team is going to work on Brutal as well. You could scale the requirements down for Brutal. For information's sake, if you guys want to know, this is the breakdown for Hydra. This is normal, hard. So this is normal up here. This is hard right here. This is brutal right here. And then nightmares at the very bottom, which is all down here, this bottomless black line. So over here, we need 360 accuracy. The fastest head is 250 speed. And then we would need 455 resistance to resist the debuffs. However, we don't really need that. We really need basically no resistance whatsoever because we have 50% decreased accuracy, as well as our first champion right here. Her passive ability decreases each enemy's accuracy by 10 for each debuff they are under. This champion will receive 4% less damage for each debuff on the attacker, so she's very, very tanky. Heals this champion a lot every time a debuff expires on an enemy, and then this ability, 75% chance of placing Provoke for 1 turn on enemies under 5 or more debuffs. So she's reducing the enemy's accuracy by potentially 100 because you can have 10 debuffs up, so 100 accuracy decrease from that, plus she's placing Provoke on the Head of Decay, and she's placing several different debuffs from this A2 ability, plus a decreased accuracy. So that head right there, let's see. I'm not for sure how the accuracy calculations are done, but say the head of Mischief, the one you want to block or tank, essentially, my Mischief tank is Inquisitor Shamael. He has 350 accuracy, okay? That's why you need 455 resistance. Though I think it's 465 needed actually, but either way, let's say it's 350 accuracy there, 350 accuracy. Let's go ahead and divide that by 2 because you have 50% less accuracy because of the debuff from Geomancer as well as Cantrip. So now the Head of Mischief has 175 accuracy. We take that number, subtract 100 because of her passive ability that reduces it based on the amount of debuffs, but say you only have 5 up instead. So 175 minus 50. Now 125 accuracy is what the Head of Mischief has. So if you add the, I don't know if it's 105 or 115, but let's just say 115. Now you need 240 resistance to resist everything from the head that has the most accuracy on Nightmare Hydra. That is such low amount of resistance. That is why Cantra is absolutely amazing. She brings a very, very consistent provoke. Assuming you can keep those debuffs applied, you very much need a consistent block buffs champion, but she also brings a huge impact to the enemy's accuracy, which is absolutely incredible. Plus, she's super tanky. Now, as far as her actual gearing goes, because she is so tanky, you can throw her in Guardian gear. She's going to be taking extra hits from your allies, and it's going to be perfectly fine because she's already super tanky, getting extra heals. She's just a very, very solid champion all around. I'll click through my gear to show you guys what she's wearing currently. You'll notice on all these champions, speed is very, very important. All of these champions I want going super fast. She has no glyph right here. Once I get a speed glyph, I'll go ahead and throw it on her. But she's currently sitting at 250 speed. And if I could make her faster, I would. Now, I did go ahead and get her to 100% crit rate. This is definitely not needed. If you can't get good HP, good defense, don't worry about the crit rate. Honestly, the crit rate is really just there to push out a little bit of extra damage. And she really didn't do a ton of damage anyways. So it's a nice thing to have, but definitely focus on all these champions getting good HP and good defense. Really across the board, 55,000, 50,000, and or like 3,000 defense is kind of the spot you want to shoot for. And you'll notice that I've shot for on all of these champions. Once you get those, you can start working on the other stats as well. Obviously, accuracy, you're going to want to shoot for that 360 number right there. And then as far as resistance, if you want a champion to resist stuff, 300 resistance should be perfectly fine. But according to this calculator, 250 will probably be fine as well. But if you want to be safe, go ahead and push it up to 300. You'll be perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever. As far as her books go, get her fully booked if you can. As far as her masteries, I do have War Master. I'll go ahead and hide myself so you guys can see this. I do have War Master. And then very, very important, I have on every single champion who places debuffs, I have Arcane Celerity. If the champion like Necmo places debuffs as well as buffs, Then I have Arcane Celerity plus Rapid Response, and I've also been picking up Lasting Gifts as well as Master Hexer, and anything else that could possibly reset my cooldowns, boost my turn meter, anything like that. I want more of those things. Honestly, this may not even be a bad idea to have on some of my champions, depending on who they are. But either way, War Master, the tier 6 mastery, you should be going that. It's going to help your damage out so much. So the next champion we're going to talk about is going to be Nekmo Thar. So Nekmo, I actually used to run him in a Provoke set, but recently I've actually changed him out to a Relentless set. This dude gets so many turns. I'm pretty sure I've seen him take like 8 turns in a row, because if the Relentless procs, he can get back around to using this ability again, giving him an extra turn. Going into this ability, he could get another extra turn. It's crazy. He takes so many turns. So I went ahead and put him in, like I said, a Relentless set, because even more turns from the extra turns, right? So more. That is the theme of this run. More turns, more turn meter, more speed, everything. Now, honestly, with his speed, I wish it was higher. His HP, I kind of wish it was higher as well. His defense, a little bit more than I need, but these gloves are very good as far as his speed goes. So that's what I have to go with. I wish I could get him to 50,000 or even 60,000 HP, but honestly, he's been perfectly fine throughout all the matches. 360 accuracy, as much speed as you can get. If you can get 300 plus speed, go for it. As long as you can keep a good amount of accuracy, a good amount of defense, and a good amount of HP, you're going to be perfectly fine. I do like the revenge accessories on him as well, because he does get hit, and if he has a chance to counterattack, it's going to be even better. His A1 ability places that decreased attack, which is absolutely amazing. His A2 does a decreased speed and leech. This is where a huge portion of your heals are coming from. Leech. That's why you want all your champions wearing War Master Masteries, because they're going to be healing from that leech whenever they attack. It's like a mini version of Lifesteal, basically. And then his A3, increased speed and increased turn meter. Absolutely amazing. Honestly, for this team, there's really not much you can do to switch out for Nekmo. Kantra, you could technically bring a different Provoker in, but honestly, this team is very specific as far as those two champions, in my opinion. But Nekmo also brings his passive that fills this champion's turn meter by 5% each time a debuff on an enemy is removed, transferred, or expires. So he's going to have basically an Arcane Celerity, right? But for his passive ability that happens all the time. Very good, because he's taken a ton of turns as it is. And now we get even more turns because we have basically 10 debuffs on all the enemies at all times. Not exactly, but very close. Now, as far as his masteries go, Lasting Gifts, exact same thing I said before. If the champion brings buffs and debuffs, I get both Lasting Gifts as well as Master Hexer, and then I get Arcane Celerity as well as Rapid Response. So as much turn meter boosting, as much buff and debuff extensions as possible, and you're good to go. I do also have Life Drinker on all these champions, because if they get below 50% HP, their War Master is going to help them heal just a little bit more. It can definitely be the difference between the champion dying or the run continuing, because as you've noticed, we have no res in this team. So if your champion dies, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. The next champion I want to talk about is Geomancer. So Geomancer is a very good champion, and honestly, I'm a big fan of him wearing this Provoke set. Kantra is a very good Provoke champion because of her passive, but she does get eaten sometimes. And if she gets eaten, and there's nobody provoking the Head of Decay, and the Head of Decay cleanses, it could definitely be a little bit of a slippery slope. So if you can get a champion like Geomancer, a champion like Nekmo, a champion who always does AoE abilities, or at least an AoE ability on their A1 ability, is going to be great, because then you can put a Provoke set on, or a Taunting set, and have a 30% chance to place Provoke for one turn every time they're hitting. Geomancer actually works great in this set. For him, I have him at 54,000 HP. His defense is a little bit low. We have 232 speed. Honestly, if I could get him to 250, that'd be even better. The more speed, the better, but I can't fit it and still get 360 accuracy. So his accuracy is a little bit close there, but it's working out fine. No problem. We have 2 pieces of Revenge accessories. Revenge accessories are honestly this. I'd rather have Refresh, except for the fact there's no accuracy on that, and I need all the accuracy I can get. But Refresh accessories will be so good for Geomancer, getting more of that A3 ability. Honestly, he may be great in Relentless. You may only need the Provokes from Kantra. But me personally, I like that little safety net that he brings with having that extra chance to provoke every so often, right? If Kantra misses it, then Geomancer's there to pick up her slack, basically. Now, as far as his abilities, his A1, decreased accuracy, so extremely helpful. It's an A1 AoE ability, so he's placing that very frequently. His A2, we have it turned off. His A3 is so good, but his passive also decreases the damage all allies receive. So if you have Geomancer in your team is taking quite a bit less damage. That's something to pay attention to. It's something I think people overlook a lot of times, but he's definitely very valuable for just adding to overall team survivability. As far as his masteries go, very similar to a lot of the other champions. Well, very similar to Cantra. Actually, I think it's the exact same thing as Cantra. So Master Hexer, Arcane Celerity, more turn meter boosting, Life Drinker for some heals, and there we go. Next champion, I'll go ahead and just leave my webcam off for right now. The next champion we have is Uugo. So Uugo is in a Reflex gear, but to be honest, she's probably going to be better in a Relentless set because Reflex reduces the cooldown of her A2 or her A3, whereas Relentless, if she gets the extra turn, would in theory reduce the cooldown of both of them if they were both on a cooldown because she'd be actually taking another turn if you follow along. So Reflex, Relentless, they're both going to be great, but the main thing with her, make sure you have really good HP because she heals everybody based off 20% of her max HP. So put really good HP, make sure she's going faster than your Husk because you want to make sure that he gets his big hit with her decreased defense applied. Make sure her accuracy is good. 327 right now. She needs 360. We do have this mastery right here, which boosts it a little bit. So we should be okay. I haven't seen much resists. Not too big of an issue so far. But you definitely want to put good HP. She's very, very important because she's really the only other healer we have on the team. Good defense, good speed, good accuracy. You're going to be good to go. If you can get crit rate, go for it. If not, not a big deal whatsoever. Now, as far as her skills, her A1, we're not really that worried about it. Her A2, super, super crucial. Decreased defense and block buffs, absolutely amazing skills there. Amazing debuffs, so, so important. And then her A3. This is really, really important. Removes all heal reduction debuffs from all allies. The Head of DK places heal reduction. Uugo can remove that heal reduction. But then she also removes one random debuff from all allies, then heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. So she'll remove the heal reduction, and then she'll also remove one other debuff. So provokes, poisons, anything like that, she'll be removing it. And then if all allies are dead, revives them at 50% HP, fills her turn meter at 50% instead. Doesn't really matter because she's usually not the last person to die. Usually the last person to die is Nekmothar because he takes so many turns. He's getting so many heals from that leech. He just lives for what seems like forever. So the next champion, we have Inquisitor Shamael. So Shamael is currently in a Guardian set because his only job or his main job is, well, I guess two things, okay? His main job is cleansing the fears from the Head of Torment. This allows you to be auto and not have to worry about much. But outside of cleansing the fears from the Head of Torment, he's also our Mischief tank. 339 resistance, plus a Blood Shield accessory. So he always has a shield buff up, meaning that Inquisitor Shamael tanks the hit from Mischief that would take turn meter, which is the biggest part of that, to be honest, because we really don't run many buffs in this team. The turn meter steal is super, super annoying. So Inquisitor Shamael tanks that, and no turn meter gets taken, and no buffs get stolen whatsoever. He's good to go. We have Guardian plus Immortal, a little bit of extra HP. I really want him to survive because if he dies and the Head of Torment is there, the run's probably going to fall apart. I have some crit rate and crit damage on him. Honestly, I'm considering boosting this crit damage up higher, trying to get his attack even higher. I want him to do a lot of damage because he can smack on those decapitated heads. He can do a ton of damage with his A2 ability, this triple hitter. So definitely book him if you can. He can do a ton of damage. Very, very solid champion. As far as his masteries go, I'm likely going to switch this over to Giant Slayer. But right now I have him on War Master, but I think Giant Slayer is the way to go. This is everything else. So last but not least is Husk. So Husk is currently built in a much more gear demanding way than what's actually needed. So he has 324 accuracy, but to be honest, because I have Geomancer in that A1 or his provoke set and his A1 is AoE, I really don't need Husk doing his A1 provoke and actually having a chance to apply it. So what I'm going to do is probably come in here, rebuild him, try to get his speed up closer to that 240 speed, close to Uugo, but still slower than Uugo. Try to make him go faster. Ideally, get him in Relentless gear. Get him in Relentless gear, good crit damage, 100% crit rate. HP, I would love for it to stay 60,000 or more, but honestly, 50,000 plus, 55,000 plus should be fine. Defense, 25,000, 2,500 or even 3,000 would be the goal, because if Husk dies, your damage definitely takes a pretty big hit. I do want to boost these stats though. But as far as his A2 ability, it only scales off of enemy max HP, so you really don't need a lot of attack. You don't necessarily need defense to scale for the damage or HP to scale for the damage because it just scales off of the enemy max HP. Now you could use a Royal Guard here instead, but it's going to be very difficult to actually survive with Royal Guard because he's just so much more squishy than Husk. We have 2 pieces that are missing glyphs. That's an extra 10 speed right there easily, at least. There's an extra 5 speed. And yeah, we got some more glyphs to fill out. So we got an extra 15 speed without any issue whatsoever. But honestly, I'm probably going to switch him over to Relentless, get him in some reflex accessories if I can. Refresh accessories, sorry. Refresh accessories would be absolutely amazing. I wish I had some that had crit damage instead of HP. But either way, maybe we could try to re-roll one of these later on, but I'll see. If I could get a banner with refresh, that'd be also amazing. But as far as his masteries go, he has War Master. War Master everywhere. We do have Life Drinker. We do have Cycle of Magic. We do have Master Hexer, though it doesn't really do anything whatsoever for him because he places no debuffs that could be extended. So that's Husk, that's Kantra, that's Necmo, Uugo, Geomancer, and Inquisitor Shamael. So guys, hopefully that helps you all out. That's all the champions I have on the team, all the gearing, all the stats. As far as the speeds, very, very important, okay? I know I said that a million times so far, but make sure your team is going super, super fast. Make sure they're tanky, survivable, good HP, good defense. Shoot for that 360 accuracy number. If you want to resist from the Head of Mischief, you have Kantra plus that decreased accuracy. Shoot for about 300 resistance, and you're going to be good to go. Your run's going to be very smooth, and you really shouldn't have too much of an issue. There could be those bad runs where it does fall apart, but if it does, just reset it. Just free regroup, run it again, no problem. You can obviously scale the gear requirements down for Brutal. If you do Brutal instead, you only need 280 accuracy, which is a significant drop, and then 450 resistance. But remember, cut that in half, reduce the accuracy, and you really don't need nearly as much resistance to actually resist the Head of Mischief. Once you resist the Head of Mischief, you'll be resisting everything else as well. You can see here, the Head of Mischief is the one with the 350 accuracy right here, and then the others have like 300, 200 there, 255, 330 from the Head of Blight. So the others don't have as much, but it's still relatively high. So guys, I'm gonna leave the video playing at the end of this video, the video of my Nightmare full auto run, if you guys wanna see how it actually worked. Hopefully this helps you all out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.